All right, welcome to the podcast. Today we're here with the CXF featherweight champion, possibly the last one from what we were just talking about. How are you today, AJ?
Great, dude. Loving life. Loving, this experience, this opportunity. I appreciate you. So looking forward to chopping it up with you.
Hell yeah, man. You were just explaining to me off camera here that CXF became what, LXF?
Yeah, LXF, Lights Out Extreme Fighting.
Okay, that's Sean Merriman's thing.
With Sean Merriman, and it's going to be televised on Fox Sports. So
Wow.
it's looking like they're trying to grow, and that's only good for us fighters, more exposure. They can only do better things for us. So I'm looking forward to it, and it's looking like they've put on great shows before, but they can only get bigger and better. So I'm looking forward to it.
You fought there quite a bit. You defended your title, what, 2 or 3 times?
Yeah, 2 times.
All right, let's start at the beginning here. Were you a wrestler in high school?
No.
No. What did you do? Did you play basketball or anything?
All right, so I had the opportunity to play basketball as a freshman, but I didn't take school serious. And it's kind of weird because in middle school I was like all A's and B's, no C's. And then I got to high school and I just wanted to mess around. I wasn't an idiot. Like, I was in like higher classes because math was always easy for me. So I'm taking like I think the highest I went in math was trig, and I took it in summer school. And it's like as opposed to like a full on like year, I took it for like, it was like 6 weeks, a 6-week class. But I just messed around. So like, tried out for the team, and I was actually probably going to make the team. But what they do, they make sure that your progress reports come out before the final cut. And, the coach talked to me like, hey, sorry, but you didn't make grades. So ever since then, it was just like, all right.
So you didn't play any sports in school then, huh?
Not in high school.
Wow. And so what, you graduated 18 years old. What were you doing at this time?
When I graduated, I was 17 just because my birthday's in September and we graduate in June. So, honestly, I was just being a knucklehead, partying, smoking, drinking, all the stuff that I don't do now.
Right. Were you an MMA fan at this time, or a boxing fan, anything like this?
I like boxing. I always liked Floyd Mayweather. Always a huge fan of his, just, the way he fights. Didn't really like the way he carried himself, but, everybody makes mistakes. But, as long as he went in there and did his job, I was a fan of what he did.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
I talked to Manel Cape earlier, and a lot of people don't like his antics, especially in Japan because of, how humble they are and stuff. But all that matters is how you perform. You could go out there, and if you're going to be the shit talking dude, then hey, you got to back it up, right? Yeah. So okay, so you were just kind of messing around, sort of like I was. I had a baby at 19, and effectively ended a lot of what I was doing, right? What led you to MMA?
Well, 19, I had a kid, and I had got arrested twice. I got arrested. The second time, it was like a wake-up call. So I'm like, yo, I can't do this no more. Like, I got to get my life together. I had to cut a lot of people off. A lot of people that I have a lot of love for, a lot of respect for, but it wasn't getting me nowhere, And
right.
Like, I don't want to go down this path. I got to do something better. So basically I just, try to get a job. I would do like odd jobs here and there, people looking out for me, pay me under the table just because with my record, I couldn't get a job for it until I got it expunged. Like, literally, like, once I got my record expunged, I got called for a job.
That's how they keep you in the system.
Yeah.
They want you to fuck up, right?
Yeah. So I did that. At 17, 18, I wasn't really an MMA fan. I played like the old school like UFC game on like Dreamcast like many years ago, but I didn't like know nobody or nothing like that. I was just like, oh, I'm a black guy. I'm trying to be But I started watching it just because that's when I think it was on Spike TV, And I would like scroll through the channels and it'd be on, and I'd be like, okay. And I would always watch and be like, yo, I can do that. I know I can do that. And I'd be in my garage, like, I had got into weightlifting, but it was like, you know, the meathead type, eat whatever you want, lift weights, get chubby buff.
Yeah.
I'm looking like, okay, and I didn't like the antics, so I'm looking at like Nick Diaz, and they're like, oh, he fights at 170, and I was like almost 180 at the time, 175, like, I'll fight that dude. I could lose 5 pounds and fight that dude, not knowing that like that dude is like huge. He's not fighting you at 170, but I'd be in my garage shadow boxing for like 5 minutes at a time with 5 pound weights, just, you know, thinking that I was a tough guy. And then sure enough, the opportunity presented itself. My mom was training at a I don't want to call it a CrossFit gym. It's an MMA gym, and they have a great program, X-Fit Combat Sports. That's where I started, you know, and they still keep their doors open for me. You know, I got a lot of love and respect for all the coaches, Rodney, the owner. You know, every time I come through, it's always been love. So, you know, I try to make sure I show them love every chance I get. But so I rolled through the doors, and my mom was training there just to, you know, stay in shape. And she said, hey, you know, you've been talking about MMA. You should try it. They have MMA there. And I went in and tried it, and I was literally like beating up everybody with absolutely no experience, just like the stuff I seen on TV. And I would just go in there and just basically to the point where like my coach, one of my coaches, Jamie Fletcher, had to like put his gear on to spar with me, and he actually ended up dropping me with a head kick. He didn't try to, but you know how somebody kicks and you kind of lean into it, kind of duck, and I leaned right into it. Boom. He dropped. It wasn't like a knockout. It just kind of like caught me by surprise. And I mean, I didn't have an ego. I wasn't hurt. I'm just like, and one of the dudes was like, oh, hold on. And I'm like, nah, I'm good. Like, let's keep going. And I think that day, like, he kind of knew, like, oh, this is a little tough son of a gun right here. So,
So the first time you did it, basically, you knew you wanted to do it.
yeah. I mean, and I didn't really have any, like, intentions on fighting. I just wanted to, like, so basically, to back up a little bit, one of my best friends, when he was 23, he was diagnosed with lymphoma. He had cancer, and it scared me because I mean we lived basically almost the same life. Like we weren't doing nothing like crazy. Just, you know, I mean, we smoke and drink here and there, and it just like by surprise. And I kind of watched him through that process, and to see him, he beat it, you know. But for me, it was like it scared me. You know, having a kid at the time, I'm like, yo, like I want to be here, you know, for her to grow up. So I like basically like changed like everything around. Like I started talking to my uncle. He used to be a bodybuilder. I remember we were playing basketball. And he had like one of those, you know, the shirts the football players wear, but they want to show their abs, so they cut the shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had one of those on, and he was ripped. And I'm like, yo, Unc, like, how do I get like that? And he's like, are you serious? I was like, yeah. He's like, if you take it serious, I'll give you, you know, the plan, and I'll buy you a membership to LA Fitness for a year, and I'll help you get in shape.
Wow.
So I did everything he said, and I got like super like ripped up, like lean cut. And so, you know, I'm in shape, and then that was like the next thing, like, all right, let me try this MMA. And I tried it, like I said, it was just like easy for me.
Wow.
Not easy, like, of course there's obstacles, but it came natural for me.
Right. And you could tell that just also from watching it on TV. Like you said, if you had the instinct that you were like, hey, I think I could do this, that's the first step of anything, right? Is believing that you could do it. If you don't believe in yourself, you can have all the talent in the world. It don't fucking matter, you know? You got to believe in what the fuck you're doing. And so, you know, thankfully for your uncle there, because I'm sure at that time, it's not like you had extra money to be throwing around at some gym or, and you say you had no experience. Did you have some street fights though?
I mean, I had a couple. Nothing like, I wasn't known for like being a fight. For me, I was like, when I was in high school, like it wasn't like, oh, the cool kids or like there were like groups of friends, like groups of people, but I always had like a lot of friends, a lot of people. So if somebody wanted to pick a fight with me, they knew like, well, he's got homeboys, so
right.
I don't really want to mess with that dude.
And
so
this was in Los Angeles?
It's I'd say like an hour away from Los Angeles in Redlands, the IE area, Inland Empire.
Okay.
So like San Bernardino, Redlands.
Yeah.
So that area, and then so growing up, like my friends would get in fights. Like we've been in like a few brawls, like at a party, somebody gets in a fight and then it turns into something else. But one-on-one fights, I could probably count on my hand like the number of times. Like when I was little, I remember, I think this will always stick in my head. I beat up two kids at the same time when I was like 10 years old.
That's crazy. On the schoolyard or what?
It was in front of my house. I don't even remember what happened. I just remember that day. But then it's funny because the kid, like I say, like maybe like a year or two later, the kid, I guess he kind of grew up and then he basically gave it to me in my front yard.
Oh shit! Oh
Yeah.
shit! He's pissed that you whooped him at his friend, huh?
So
Okay, so then fast forward a little bit to 2014. You made your amateur debut. How did this come about?
I had been training, and it was for me. It was like I was bouncing like I had a temp job, and I was going to school for computers at the time through this like program where they funded me to go to school. And I mean, I wasn't really like into it, but I'm like, I got to do something. But I was obsessed. Like they have boxing at 5:30. I'm at boxing. They have Muay Thai at 7. I'm at Muay Thai. Then I'm at MMA class. Like I was there like all the time, just trying to like take it all in, to the point like even the owner, like I was there so much, and he would only charge me like I think like $30 a month, like to do everything.
Damn.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I don't know if he saw like how dedicated I was, but he was all for it. So, I'm training and training, and then I remember I never ever knew what MMA gloves actually looked like till one of my partners, his name is Morrow, and he kind of like took me under his wing, would show me some stuff, and then one day he's like, hey, let's put these on, and I'm looking like little gloves, and I'm like, I like these, like, all right, let's do it.
Right.
They're basically showing me like how to put it all together, because like I said, I'd be taking jiu-jitsu. I'd be there in the morning for jiu-jitsu, MMA class, then I'd be there 5:30 for boxing, then Muay Thai, and then he basically showed me how to put it all together. And then Jamie, he was watching me one day, and this is before I even met Josh.
Uh-huh.
He's watching me, and he's like, hey man, like, you're looking really good, like we might want to try to find you something. Like, you ever thought about fighting? And I just smiled, like, just glowed, like, instantly, like, okay. I'm like, all right, I'm down, like, let's do it. And then he got me my first amateur fight, and it was like I'll never forget that fight, just because how tired I was after, and it kind of pushed me to where because I was like, I wasn't gonna quit, and I was extremely tired, and I know how I felt after, and I'm telling him like, yo, like I feel weird. I feel really, really like tired. He's like, you're good. Like, it's just an adrenaline dump. You're fine. And I remember telling myself, like, I never want to feel this tired again. So I basically would like amp up my training, and I've never ever been tired in any fight ever since then.
And that was in the first round, right? That you finished the guy.
No, it went all three.
Oh, it went all three, really. See, I guess maybe. What month was that? Was that 2014?
Well, I think so.
What I show on your record is University of MMA against Adrian Garcia.
And that's the thing. My actual first one was I think Sherdog might have it up.
Okay.
Because it was for a show called IE Rumble, and on my Tapology, they don't count some of my fights. Like I was actually 6-4.
What's that? I'm sorry.
I think it shows as like 5-4.
Yeah, Tapology does that to a lot of fighters. I don't know why. Let me see if I could pull up that amateur fight. Okay, so your first one is you lost your first amateur fight?
It was for Rumble. It was against, what was his name?
Juan Latore.
I can't even think of his name. It was a show at the Radisson Hotel in Ontario. Yeah,
Juan De La Torre. Does that sound right?
That's U of MMA. That's my first U of MMA fight.
Okay.
For that, but I just remember thinking, I'm just gonna go in there and kick this guy as hard as I can in his leg, and I did it. And I looked at his face, and I knew I won. As soon as I saw his face, it was like, oh, what did I get myself into? So I knew I had him. Like I said, it was, I mean, I've watched it like now, and I'm just like, oh, I was so terrible back then. But you know, it's a learning experience. You know, a lot of bad habits. I mean, first fight ever.
Right.
And, that kind
Headgear and everything, I assume?
no, and that's the funny thing. So no rash guard, no shin guards, little gloves. Yeah. So you know how now they were I think they wear the shins until like 3 fights.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no shins. And I was down because my shins were conditioned by then. Like we had this big, huge, like almost cement bag that I would just kick and try to blast it. Yeah, and I would do 100 low kicks on the bag every day after practice,
Jeez.
hard.
Jeez. Talk about being sore, I'm sure,
Yeah,
afterwards.
yeah. I had to ice my legs and get used to it. But you do what you got to do.
So after you realized this about your conditioning, though, you just went hard at conditioning rather than lifting as much.
Yeah.
Did you?
Well, I've always been like stuff didn't. It kind of came easy. Like if I put my mind to something, I'd be good at it.
Mhm.
Like stuff like so. Like when I dialed in, like, and I was like looking at videos, looking at like and like how to like get stronger, how to get explosive, more speed. So I do like even to this day, like I do my own strength and conditioning. I've never had a strength and conditioning coach.
Oh.
So I do it myself. But I mean I don't work out like if you watch like some of my workouts, I don't do like regular stuff that people do. Like I do a lot of balance and posture stuff. A lot of leg work. I love like working out legs. I do bench, but not so much.
Wow.
I do what I need to get the strength there for like clinch and stuff. But my majority of focus is like my legs, my core, stuff like that. Explosiveness.
So when you started, what would you say that you were most confident in? Striking or being on the ground or striking?
Yeah, I was a striker. I mean the ground. It wasn't like I was obviously a fish out of water at first. I'd try to do what I'd see, and then Jamie's like, okay, I see what you're doing, but you got to correct this. Pinch your knees together for the arm bar, turn your hips, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But once I got like used to it, I found like my go-to submissions, things that I was naturally able to do. And then my thing was like when I first started, I was a striker, so guys, as soon as we're striking, they want to take me to the ground.
Yeah.
I knew I had to improve in my groundwork. So even before linking up with Josh, I had a pretty solid ground game. I didn't get to utilize it as much as I would like to early in my career. Even now, I mean, I've utilized it, but I mean, I don't have any professional subs, so.
So did it ever cross your mind at this time being a striker of trying boxing, or was it always MMA for you?
Funny story. So before I even started training MMA, I was already, in shape. I went to Adrenaline, and I tried. It's a gym out in San Bernardino, and I wanted to do boxing. So I went there, and I did their little boxing thing. And the coach takes us out. First thing he wants to take us for a run. I outran everybody, even the coach. Yeah, I don't know if he's still the boxing coach now. This is like years ago, like long time ago. And then he came up to me like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I would have stuck with you, but I gotta, keep up with the other students, yada yada yada." All right, cool. We hit pads. And then I talked to my dad like, "Yo, I think I'm gonna go off boxing. I want to do boxing." And he's like, "Boy, you're crazy. As soon as somebody hits you, that's it. You don't want to do no boxing. You think." And then so I kind of just brushed it off, and I'm like, "Look at me now."
Yeah, no shit, right?
Yeah,
Taking
I mean,
shots like a motherfucker.
I don't dislike boxing, but I think for me, like when the guy's better than me boxing, and I can't, make the adjustments, that's when it's like, ah. So
Yeah.
like in MMA, if he's better, I can kick him.
Yeah, yeah.
Take him down, stuff
Yeah.
like that. So,
It's not so much styles make fights as much in MMA as it is boxing. Like you said. I mean, someone like we saw. I don't know if you watched the Canelo fight a couple nights ago or last night, but he has a certain style that you got to switch. But there's only so many ways to switch in boxing, right? Whereas, like you said, in MMA, okay, your 1-2 ain't working. Let's try some leg kicks. Let's go for the takedown. You know. So how many amateur fights did you have until you really started feeling confident? I mean, you sounded confident to begin with, but until you really felt like, okay, I'm going to become professional at this. Did that go through your head?
So I had got a flash knockout. Tommy Aaron, I'll never forget it because he changed my whole way of approaching fighting. So Tommy Aaron, this kid is on a tear, undefeated, and I had some good performances. I think I came off of a finish of Adrian with the liver kick, and then I think I had another fight after that at another promotion. So they matched us up, and he got me with the okie doke. He switched stance and kicked me right in the head, and I'm standing orthodox, and I didn't go out like I could see everything happening, but he's coming at me to follow up, and my body wouldn't respond, and then the ref stops it because it's amateurs. He stops it.
Right.
I go back and watch it, and I knew then it didn't hurt. I wasn't like, oh, that hurt, or oh, I'm scared for that day. I was hungry, and I was begging, give me the rematch, let me get a rematch.
Right.
And then that's when at XFIT the guys kind of started to trickle out, because guys like I said, I was dedicated, but not everybody had that same dedication, and we started to actually lose people. And Jamie sent me down to CSW where I met Josh and those guys. And after that fight, I basically taught myself how to fight southpaw, so I can fight out of both stances comfortably.
Yeah, I was going to say that about you, just from some of the film I have seen of you. I was going to ask you what you prefer, but to me, watching you, and I mean, I haven't seen a whole lot of tape on you, but I've seen enough to see that I didn't know if you were southpaw or orthodox when I was watching you fight, because you looked really comfortable in each stance. I think that's a forgotten art in MMA and in boxing. Some people can switch, but it's like being ambidextrous, right?
Yeah.
Are you left-handed or right-handed naturally?
I'm right-handed,
okay.
And I naturally started right-handed, and then I switched after that fight. I was like, I need to teach myself how to fight out of both stances, and now I kind of prefer southpaw, just because so many guys are orthodox and they can't pick up that tricky game of the southpaw. So, I use it, but I mean, sometimes I can't help but switch back and forth just to kind of confuse the guy. But my natural stance is orthodox. But I mean, now even now, my coach, he holds pads for me southpaw. So.
Wow. Well, and it's harder to find training partners that are southpaw, is what I hear for a lot of people. There's just not a lot of southpaws out there. And so you go down to CSW, you get lucky enough to meet Josh Barnett. Were you aware of how big and this guy was, as far as because at this time, 2014, he's already a legend basically in the sport.
Yeah. So it's funny, and I told him this story. The first time I ever seen Josh is when he fought Cormier.
Strikeforce tournament, yeah.
So I'm watching, and this is that was one of the other things. I see Strikeforce, and I'm like, okay, MMA, on shows this is cool, all right. And then I'm watching, and I'm like, my thing was all right, I'm gonna go for the black guy. I don't know these guys. I want the black guy to win, not knowing that this guy is gonna be your coach in the future. But so I'm watching, and I'm like, yo, this is one tough white boy. He is legit. And it's a funny story. And he actually, I didn't know that at the time, but he broke his hand in that fight.
Oh, early on, right?
Yeah, he broke his left hand, and sure enough, I broke my left hand when I fought for CXF against Dima. Dimitri, I don't even know how to pronounce his last name, but I broke the first punch I dropped him with. I broke my hand, and I had to actually finish the fight with my hand like that. His corner ended up saying no more after the second round, so it was good for me. But yeah, to backtrack, I'm watching, and I'm like, dang, this is one tough white boy. Obviously, the black guy won, and fast forward, and I'm looking like, yo, that's the same dude I seen on TV. So
Fucking crazy, man.
Yeah.
Damn.
So my first day at CSW was like a huge wake up call for me because like, so I get down there, you know, and I've been asking Jamie like, hey, can we go to CSW? Can we go to CSW? Finally, he takes me. So we drive down there, you know, and I'm thinking, you know, I'm the big dog. I've been beating everybody up I train with. Roll up in there, and you got Victor Henry in there, Javier Garcia, Jake Rosales when he was young, Ben Jones. I don't know if Josh was there that day, but just a room full of just killers.
Mhm.
And I'm in there like, all right, you know. So then I'm, you know, all right, we're sparring. I want to, you know, try to do my thing. And boom, Ben Jones drops me with a spinning back kick to the liver.
Oh shit.
Uh,
See, that right there would that's why I don't fight. That kind of kick, yeah, that'd end my career, bro. That's it for me. You know what I mean? One shot to the liver, I'm done.
so I go down and I'm like, oh my gosh, what was that? Nobody's ever hit me like that before. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then he picks me up like smiling. And every time they see, I didn't know, but every time it happened, like you get dropped in the gym, and that became a thing that they've been doing for a while. So liver, and everybody yells it, and I'm like, what? What's going on in here? All right, whatever. So then I get up, and then he's like trying to tell me like, hey, you know, you got to circle away. You're circling right into it. I timed it. All right, whatever. Finish the round. Then I'm going with Victor Henry. And then, you know, we're boop, 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 exchanging. And then we end up in the clinch, and he does an old shook over. Boom, knee right on the liver. Ooh, drop me again.
But he had some experience at this time compared to you too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he was a pro at the time. I was still an amateur.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
So
so
you
yeah,
see, catch the second liver fucking shot, huh?
yeah. So
Oh,
I'm like, by then my ego's kind of shot. I'm like, dude, what is this? All right, whatever. And then we switch to MMA rounds. So we go in the cage. And then I'm in there. And then Jacob Rosales suplexed me like 3 times in a row. So he does one. And then I get right back up. Boop. Another one, get right back up. Boop. And then I'm just like frustrated. And I'm not the type like to get mad and want to like hurt somebody. I'm like more frustrated with myself. Like, so I'll yell like, oh, what's going on? And then I remember Eric Paulson, who was the coach at the time, he comes up to me like, so how do you know, like, how do you feel? How'd you like practice? And I'm like, dude, I suck. I got my ass kicked. And he's like, you didn't get your ass kicked. He's like, you did good. You did fine. Like, this is a team. This is what it's like to train on a team. After that day, I was in there. Every single chance I got, I was in there. And then I ended up joining the fight team. And then, you know, later, you know, Josh would come through, and he's so odd. Josh is odd. Like, he's like the most lovable guy ever. But if you like look at him from like the sideline, like you're like almost timid and scared. Like, why is he such a jerk? But he's really not.
well, look at it. You know, a lot of people see him on TV now that he hasn't been fighting, coaching Alyssa Garcia and Rizin, and the Japanese crowd is totally quiet, but Josh Barnett's there yelling like crazy, like he's, you know, going to jump in there and make Alyssa do it, right?
Yeah,
But no, he's a hell of a fighter, hell of a coach, man. I mean, you guys are building a team that's unbelievable out there. You know, how many people do you have on the regular out there?
We have at least, I want to say like 10. We have I know we have 4 pros.
Okay.
And then we have the rest is amateurs. Some girls, you know, but cross train, and then we also cross train with the guys from CMMA, and that gym is like full of like just studs.
Well, where is that at?
In Gardena.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, I make it there when I can just because my work schedule. I wish I could more often because, like I said, that room is like, if not the best, one of the best rooms in like California.
Wow. Well, let me stop you for a second. That's part of what I founded this podcast on, was finding a good talent, up and coming talent. I can't just invite anyone on the show. Number one, I don't want to. Number two, you got to show me something. You know, that's just the way it is, right? Quality over quantity. But that's one of my goals. Is I see these fighters, Rocky Martinez. I'm gonna have him on later. from Guam. He trained with Miyu Yamamoto. And then part of the thing is that this guy works at an insurance company, 9 to 5 job all day. If he could train more, he'd be even better than he is, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm trying to give all you guys a platform to where, hey, let's get some more money in this game. Let's get some more opportunities for this talent, so you guys don't have to be doing a damn day job. That's a requirement, because I'm sure that's a hell of a toll, man. I have a day job, and it's like it's hard to come do this sometimes. Just sit on my couch and reach out to people, right? I can only imagine going to train. I get to do my little exercises, and that's it, man. There's no way I'd have that kind of time. What do you do for work?
I work in a warehouse. I drive equipment for Converse. I mean, it's easy work, but like I said, like when my day starts, it doesn't end till when I don't even know. So originally, my schedule was, I'm up at 5 a.m. and strength and conditioning. Come home, get my stuff together, get ready, get my like food, everything ready for the day, and then I head out to practice. I'm leaving my house by like 9 o'clock to go to practice. Go to practice. From practice, shower, go to work. Got to be at work at 1 o'clock. Be at work my 8 hours, and then
come home and take care of kids and
yeah. I mean, my girls are asleep by the time I get home, so I don't get off till like 9:45, 9:30. Come home, and then that's like, all right, now you get your downtime. So
yeah, but by that time you still need some hours of sleep, man. How many hours a night would you say that you sleep?
Now it's kind of up in the air, just because my wife's schedule, when she's a correctional officer, depending on like her schedule, like, cause I have a hard time sleeping when she's not home. I mean, I'm not like, oh my God, it's just like the way my body's wired. Like, I wake up like every hour or like every 2 hours, but I'd say anywhere from like 5 to like 6 hours.
Well, because they show all these studies, but you look at somebody like Kobe Bryant. He always talked about how he never slept more than 4 or 5 hours a night, right?
Yeah.
And that was his schedule, and this guy would go, deal like you're saying, and so I just wonder how much sleep plays into it, because I know that it's an anti-inflammatory, so it helps your rest, it helps your soreness. But I mean, someone like you don't have you don't have 9 hours a day to sleep. It sounds like, but I just wonder, how that affects you. What about on your days off? Do you find yourself napping, sleeping more at that time, or?
I try not to, just because my girls, I try to give them as much time as I can when I'm home. When I'm in camp, I try to like get as much sleep as I can, just because Josh is really about that. Like, hey, I get it, but you need rest. Like, he's big on, gotta rest your body needs it. Do the necessary things necessary. Don't complain about it. Do something about it.
Right.
So, on the weekends, I try to, give them their time. I feel like I get enough sleep on the weekend,
But you try to get more in camp, and that's important too. I think this is one thing that the fans don't see, and I appreciate your candor behind the scenes look, is the fact that you guys do have jobs. I mean, everyone, a lot of people do, unless you're up high at the top. You got a job. You're going and bartending, you're going and doing something. And that's, I mean, you put anyone in that situation, everyone complaining about work and how tired they are. Well, you work and then go fucking train at the gym for 3 hours, That's why, a fighter's mind, I think that's a mindset. You were saying earlier you felt the natural ability to do fighting. I think that's a mental aspect of it, and that's probably why you're so good, to be honest. So anyway, I wanted to ask you real quick before we glance over it. What was fighting with the broken hand like? Were you able to clinch it?
Okay, so where I broke it, I don't know if you can see it. I'll try to like get it. Right here.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So a lot of I guess the boxer fracture is more so. I think it's one of these. If it's not the first two,
yeah.
The last. But I broke this one. So the bone broke about here, and it was like not sticking out of my skin, but like it was up. Like if my hand was like this, you could see the lump of my bone like where it broke and separated. So when I threw the punch, it was a looping left hook from southpaw. So instead of the straight, I threw it like it would be a straight, but I looped it around to catch him by surprise. And I don't know where I hit. I'm pretty sure it was on his chin, but I think the way I landed is what did it. Because I dropped him, but I felt something weird on impact. It didn't hurt, but I knew like, yo, that's not.
Something.
But I'm like, whatever, keep going. And then I'm keep doing my thing, try to pound him out, and he gets up, and I dropped him again with the same punch, with the same hand. And then so I'm trying to finish. First round ends. I don't tell my corner anything. I just keep it to myself. Like whatever, it doesn't hurt. I know, but I knew in my head like if it's not broken, I did something weird.
Right.
So
You were worried that they might stop it or what?
Yeah, that's why I don't want to say nothing. Well, because the commission, like I'm not worried about telling Josh or the game. The commission is standing right there.
Shit, yeah, they'll stop it.
Yeah, I'm just like, all right, whatever, I'm gonna deal with it. So I'm orthodox. Like, all right, I'll use my right hand, and I threw a jab with the broken hand, and I hit it, and it was like, oh no, that doesn't feel right. So I stopped throwing it. So I was throwing right hands, and then at the end of the second round, I dropped him with a body kick to the liver, and so he goes down, and I go back and and I'm trying to finish, can't finish. I was gonna go for armbar, but time ran out. So I go back to my corner, and I'm like, Jamie, come here, like yo, my hand's broken. And Josh, like, yo, because he's like telling me, come out, throw your double jab with your left hand. I'm like, my left hand's broken, like I can't.
No double jab.
He's like, all right, come out, throw a double jab, and throw your rib kick with your left leg. And then so I'm like, all right, I know the game plan. So I get up, and then I'm up off the stool, and Victor's in my corner, and he's like, yo, celebrate. His corner stopped it, you won. And I'm like, oh, yes.
Oh, shit.
So
yeah.
After like it swelled up, but my hand looked like a crab claw or a lobster claw because it was like so swollen. And like I said, you could see the bone; it was kind of sticking out. And so Josh linked me up because they have insurance, so CXF's insurance, they covered my whole surgery. Josh sent me to his surgeon, the one that did Ronda Rousey's hand when she broke it.
Wow.
Yeah.
What did they do exactly?
So they put a metal rod, and I don't know exactly how many screws. I think it's 2. I think so. And they put a metal rod, titanium, and then the screws. So my wife says it's like a Wolverine hand, but as long as it don't go off in the airport, I'm good.
Right. Does it bother you at all during the cold? I mean, and it doesn't.
A little bit. I'm pretty sure when I get older, though, it's probably going to be a pain.
Yeah, I broke my thumb, and I tore all the ligaments in this hand right here. You can see I could do that with it. So I have no ligaments right there. They wanted to take them out of my ankle and put them in my hand. I said, this is my left hand. Like, I don't even jack off with this hand, right? Who needs that hand, right? And so I'm like, I need my feet more than my hand. What the hell? But when it gets cold, it'll just kind of pulsate and hurt a little bit. You know what I mean? Nothing too major. But I also ain't punching something with. I mean, I hit my heavy bag, but not every day.
Yeah.
So how many fights into your career were you when you linked with Josh? We didn't hear that part.
So backing up, I did. You asked me if when I knew that I could go pro. So I switched to CSW. Then I lost. I took my last loss against Ryan Lilly. I don't know if he's doing his thing right now on the on the pro circuit as a bantamweight. We fought at featherweight, but I lost to him, and then that was like in the beginning of my CSW, like career, or if you want to call it that. When I was with when I lost to Tommy Aaron, I was there, but I wasn't there as like consistently as I could be. And then I started going consistently. Then I went on a 3-fight streak, and they were all finishes. And then it wasn't even my decision. It was Josh's decision for me to go pro. So my last amateur fight was at the fairgrounds, OC Fairgrounds. I want to say it was OC Fight Club. I don't even remember, but it was against Jonel Kim. I can't.
Kimbrough.
Yeah, him. He looked
Okay,
like
that
good.
was an event called Summer Fist 8.
Yeah, it was Roy Engelbred. So he looked like a 5'10" Jose Aldo kind of, but
Oh, shit.
so he it was in, and the funny thing is, like, it was outside and it started raining. Yes. So, and they're like, well, if you guys don't have to fight, but there's potential that you could get suspended. But yeah, and me, I'm like, I don't care, I'm gonna fight. And they're like, well, if you slip, like, we're not gonna obviously ward them to slip. We'll stand it up. But there weren't, puddles in there when I was in there, and I ended up head kicking this dude in the rain. So it was like something out of Street Fighter. And
Oh,
I Josh, go like this is. He's like, you're done with this amateur stuff. Like, you're putting your body on the line. You're not wearing shins. Like, you're just gonna go pro.
yeah. For what? Hey, can you raise your camera up just a little bit so we could? Yeah, that up. Yeah, tilt it up. There you go. You were just cut off a little bit. I want the fans to be able to see you, even though the ladies can't be looking at you because you got a lady there. So anyway, so this was Josh tells you basically don't do this because you're putting your body at risk. I mean, clearly, which is in your mind you're probably not even thinking about that because you're just a fighter. So then you go pro and you lost your first pro fight, correct?
Yeah.
What was that like? Were you did your ego take a hit from that?
It was. I mean, for me, and it's weird because every loss I've always taken, I always improve like tremendously because I just get more hungry. Um, and I lost to Chase Gibson. It was, I felt comfortable, but it was the first time I realized that margin of error in the pros from amateurs is like it goes from like here to like the smallest mistake, and it's all over. And he so I threw a spinning back kick, landed, and tried to throw the right hand off of it. He covered and threw a left hook off of it, and he caught me. He dropped me. It didn't hurt. Just kind of like put me like, oh shoot, I'm on my butt. All right, let me get up. And then he got on top, and I had, I'm fighting the hands and I'm holding it. I'm like, all right, I'll wait for him to move and I'll scramble. And he locked up a Darce. I didn't know a Darce is like his go-to.
Oh fuck! Oh
Yeah.
shit!
And training with him, he trains at CMMA. We train together now. And I mean, that's his bread and butter. He will
That's his
start.
move, and you fell
Yeah,
right into
so
it.
he got it. Kudos to him. He got me.
Well, that was 2016. You ended up fighting 5 times that year. You fought 4 more times, so I assume it was that thing that you were talking about earlier. You were
Yeah.
itching to get back in there right away, I'm sure, right? And so then you came back and won 2 in a row. Well, you had a King of the Cage fight, all right?
Yeah.
Is your third fight or something like that?
So my first pro win was in Seattle.
Okay.
It was for SFL. I finished the guy in the first round. It was a knockout, but they robbed me. So what happened is the dude ends up it's on my Instagram actually. The dude ends up on the ground, and I'm throwing kicks at his leg to kind of bait him, and he tried to post up and get up, and he thought that I couldn't cover the distance, so I didn't just walk him down. I did like a hobble step and dropped the right hand. Boom, went stiff. He was out, but he hit his head on the cage and it woke him up. But I was already on top, delivering ground and pound. The ref stopped it, and he's the hometown kid, so everybody's like, "Oh, boo, early stoppage, early stop." Like, he was out. Like, you could see, like even my coach Jamie's like, "How are they gonna call it early stoppage?" Like, the dude, he gets all tight and falls out of the camera angle. Like, there's no way. So I beat him.
Right. Right, and we
And then
see it often in MMA where a guy wakes back up, maybe
yeah,
another hit or hitting the cage or something. You're out.
so then I had already had, so it was that fight, and Josh already had King of the Cage lined up too. And I had caught the flu. And so I had to cut, and it sucked because I had to cut weight when I'm sick and just, so luckily I was, I was getting better, but I wasn't nowhere near 100%. So I knew I had to finish the fight. Um, so the fight went to the ground, and then I heard, I think it was Victor Henry say 30 seconds, and I'm in my head like, the way my lungs felt, I was like, dude, there's no way. I got to put him away now. I ended up finishing him with elbows, and in the fourth
Only about
round,
like 20 seconds left or something,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah. And King of the Cage never called me back. I don't know. I don't understand. And I sold
Damn.
50 tickets. Like,
Wow. Because that
uh,
was basically how you got paid at that time, was that
yeah,
selling so many tickets and how you get on the card and stuff. So a lot
it
of
was
fans also don't realize.
it was decent money, but I mean, I made most of my money in ticket sales.
Mhm.
So
Well, that's a good amount to sell. I mean, I don't know how far down on the card you are, but for your third pro fight, to sell 50 tickets to an event that's only holding, what, not very many,
yeah,
it's maybe you knocked out one of their boys that they liked a lot or something.
I don't know. And it's funny because he actually trains with our team now too. Mark Matsumoto. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
Real good. Yeah. That's
All right.
funny how it is. Like you fight somebody and then y'all are like cool after.
That's cool. And then you get to train with some of these people. That's
Yeah.
even better because I'm sure that helps, you realize your mistakes. So, are you much of a film watcher? I mean, all this, did you have someone at Cage Side recording this for you, or how did that work?
Um, Not for King of the Cage. I know for it's kind of hard. Like I try to get my wife to film because some of my fights are on my Facebook. A lot of the CXF, like the one when I broke my
Mhm.
hand. Even if you go to my Facebook fan page, they have we did like a bio series. My friend put it together. One of my best friends, Josh Green, he basically knew these people from high school that he went to high school with. They did like video production and stuff, and he basically paid them to like do like a bio series of my life. And then we did like I think it was like 3 or 4 episodes, and they like basically filmed like basically giving like what you're trying to give, the behind the scenes.
Uh-huh.
They that and like followed me, all that came to the fight, got me
Oh.
some tips.
And this is on your Facebook fan page?
Yeah,
If I can't find it, I'll hit you up, but I'll include a link to that on the description of this video for the fans because I haven't even seen that. I've watched most of your fights via Facebook, like you're saying. And so would you go home and really study what you did wrong and right, or are you much of a film watcher?
I don't. I mean, I watch my film and I watch like guys that I admire. Like coming up, I watched a lot of Jose Aldo,
Mhm.
and I try to use. And I'm not one to like. I'm not if I'm watching. It's not just the like I'm using that. Like I'll use it in sparring. I'm trying to like
You're learning.
I'm trying to buy it. So I'll watch Jose Aldo. I watch T.J. Dillashaw when he started. With the Dutch style with Dwayne Bang. I watched a lot of Connor, a lot of early Connor though before he like when he first was in the UFC against Marcus Brimage, the angles and
Mhm.
stuff that he was doing. I watched a lot of that. I watched I like Stephen Thompson, a
Yeah.
lot of his a lot of guys. So
Jose Aldo, I always wanted to see him get that rematch with Connor just because you experienced it yourself, a flash knockout. It happens, man. It happens to any fighter in the world. It could happen to, right? And that's why I always wanted to see him run that back because Jose Aldo was still closer to his prime than he is now. I mean, he's still good. He's got that Volkanovski coming up next weekend. It's going to be a
yeah,
tough fight. But
yeah,
his kicks, AJ, was always the thing to me that it was like, holy shit, you take a couple of those and you're not walking right for a while.
he stopped kicking.
Yeah, no shit. So, so,
Started
I'm,
moving.
so that's a good person to look up to. So to this day, you still watch fights. What about when you know your opponent, your upcoming opponent? Say you have a fight in a few months, which we'll get to see if you have one. But if you know, do you watch any footage on them? Do you go seek it out, or do you let coaches do that?
I watch I watch a little. Mostly like I let Josh do that just because he's so knowledgeable and with literally he'll like because we have like a chat for you know the like fight team stuff and then he'll tell me like what he wants me working on for that camp like this is what he's gonna do and even when we're in the training room he's like all right he's gonna do this is what I want you working and then I watch maybe like their most recent fight maybe like once maybe twice if I feel like I need to but when I'm in camp, it's mainly for me to focus on, me and what I'm gonna do. I don't like. for me, like, I don't know if some people say it's cocky. I'm just confident. You know, I don't look at what you're gonna do to me because I know what I'm going to do to you. I'm gonna press you. I'm gonna put pressure on you. I'm gonna go in there to try to. I'm not gonna point you. I'm going to try to finish
Right.
you. And I'm not scared to come forward. I'm not scared to get hit.
Well,
Um,
this
I
is this is part of the reason why I invited you on is because I think that you're a perfect fit for an organization like Rizin. As you know, they you could win 3 in a row there, but if you're just trying to outpoint the dudes, you ain't getting the call back. They want
yeah,
fighters that are going in there for war, and you know you got to respect that. I mean, but part of what you were saying earlier also plays into that the fact that that you know how to adjust, right? You're
yeah,
not as worried about what they're going to do when you know that okay, if they do something I can't handle, then I adjust. That's an interesting concept. I find a lot of fighters overanalyze their opponent a little too much, you know, and just watching interviews and hearing them, they're overanalyzing what this person's going to do. So you probably get in the cage waiting for them a little bit, you know, whereas you're kind of a pressure dude, you know, that would fuck your whole game up, right?
yeah. Let me grab my charger right quick so I don't lose you.
No problem, bro. Yeah, I've been hitting the good old Rizin vape pen here. One of their C-Tech vape pens. I'm not even sure what kind of oil it is. Somebody got it for me from you could probably see that. Somebody got it for me from Ryzen 13, and it's some kind of strange oil, but it fucking tastes really good, and you know helps me not smoke anything else, right?
Right? Hold on, this cord is garbage. Hold on.
No problem, bro.
There we go. Much better. Oh, we're good.
Solid, brother. All
Yeah.
right, let me get to a fan question real quick. That way, I know where I can chop this up at and edit it. This one's from Juan217. I think this is from Reddit. What's the one thing that you would say that the War Master has taught you the most?
Um, I would say I think the most that I take from Josh is not like it's not just about the person you are as a fighter. You know, like he's like yeah, he's my coach, but he's also like giving us like life advice. You know, like be good people. Yeah, we joke around, we mess around, we can be assholes sometimes, but at the end of the day, like be good people. And don't get caught up in so much the things that you have no control over. Do as long as you do what you're supposed to be doing to succeed, then there's nothing to complain about.
Hell yeah, that's dope, man. I'll get to one more real quick before I forget. I always want to include the fans. Favorite music?
Um, like a genre?
Yeah, or favorite artist? What have you been listening to lately?
Let me see. It's
You're a
funny
West
because
Coast dude. You got to be listening to something.
like recently I've been like I was just bumping like old 50 Cent, like the Massacre, like
Yeah.
that, like how dope 50 was.
How's a
Like,
dope album, man?
well, so what I did because after work I've been going to the gym just because it's been harder for me to get up at 5. I'm actually going to start tomorrow getting up at 5 again, but I so I'm in the gym and I play Get Rich or Die Trying because I'm like I grew up with this album. I love this album, and
Yeah.
then sure enough, I rolled right into the Massacre, and I'm like, yo, like 50 is the man. I forgot,
Right.
like he was gunning for people in hip hop. But I mean, I say like my overall like of all time favorite artist is Nas, easy.
Wow. Okay, so then my question: it was written or Illmatic?
Illmatic, come on, man. It Is Written was good though. That was a
See,
good album.
that's why I get that answer a lot, but I think people sleep on it. It was written a little bit, man. I just from the intro to the way that CD's kind of a
Yeah,
little bit of a story. I mean, I like them both. Don't get me wrong, but I just feel like it was written just a little slept on. Almost everyone says Illmatic without thinking, but then like you just said it was dope though, right? What about West Coast hip hop? You listen to any like Crooked Eye?
um, I
You
do
aware of
not.
him? He was in Slaughterhouse for a while.
I know who Crooked Eye is. I
Well,
haven't listened to him.
he's
I listen
back.
to let me think.
Well, let me tell you real quick, AJ. You might check this out. He's back to doing his Hip Hop Weekly series. He did that 11 years ago, right? And he would just take the hottest industry beat and do it 52 weeks straight every Wednesday, drop a new track. Yeah, I'll send these to you on your email. But now
Okay.
he's back to doing that again, except the producer he has is flipping the beats a little bit. So it's not the original. He just did like Jay-Z's Dynasty. He did, Tupac's Ambitions as a Writer. But
Wow.
the producer is flipping the beat just enough to where it's kind of a different beat in some ways. I'm gonna send you all this stuff, man. It's really, really, really good.
I messed with Slaughterhouse like back in the day when they were like hot on the scene and people didn't really know. It
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, who's that? And I'm like, well, Joel Ortiz, like Crooked Eye, all these dudes, like Joe. Even when Joe Button was on there, like Royce the 5'9", all these dudes have talent, like
Mm-hmm.
Rock. But
Back in the day, I got to work with the late great Proof from D12, and
really,
yeah, I did a mixtape with him. Well, I helped him with a mixtape, and then I did a tribute mixtape for him after he passed away. And I'll send you all this stuff. But man, it was an honor. I got to work with a bunch of the dudes from D12 and the CDs and fucking Eminem's little Proof shrine that he's got in his house. I saw a picture of it, and I'm like, holy shit, there's my logo and shit. It was amazing. But so I'm super into hip hop, but that was what made me so sad about Joe Butt, because finally music that I liked a lot, and then
yeah,
now he's just some media dude, right?
I mean, he's a girl. He went on Love, he went on Love Hip Hop and lost his mind.
I know. I know.
Complains about people that capitalize on opportunity.
Yeah. I just, it's like he'll still talk a lot on Twitter and stuff. It's like, but don't talk about it. Be about it. Like you're saying, as a fighter, it would be like you analyzing every UFC card and saying, "Well, I'd whoop this guy's ass." Well, get out there and show us. You know what I mean? People don't want to hear talk; they want to see action. At least I do. Which
He's like,
brings me to what you think is next for you, bro. I mean, what you don't know if you should still be the CXF champion. So hopefully they're going to invite you back. You are, okay. So hopefully they're going to still have you. And let me ask you this before I gloss over it. Have you fought at featherweight your whole life?
Yes. So as an amateur, I knew, I fought at featherweight, but I knew that I was only going to get bigger because, like I said, I had leaned out, and as an amateur, and at the gym, they're telling me, like, oh, you're going to be a 35 or you're 30. And in my head, I'm like, nah, I know I'm going to get bigger. And even, a boxing coach that I work with, he was telling me, like, it's good that, I started at 25. I started all this training stuff at 25.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, that's good because you don't have all the wear and tear on your body. You don't have all that from years of wrestling. So your body is basically in its prime. So I knew, like, even when I was younger, I was like, 25, 26. I knew, like, I'm going to get bigger. And sure enough, I walk around like 165, 170.
Oh, well, you're what, 5'9", 5'10"?
5'9".
Yeah, see, and so, I mean, that's a good weight to be at, but how is the weight cuts for you? Is it getting harder or no?
It's so, and this last one I had, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's probably one of my best ones, just because, I felt, you feel drained. It feels like death, but I felt worse. So I knew, like, okay, I did it right. I did it good,
So you should be able to keep making 45 for a while, huh?
Yeah, I water load. I eat clean. I'm strict on my diet when I need to be. Like when I'm in camp, I do what I got to do. Like it's not, my mindset's different. When I'm dedicated and I'm on point, like all systems go. I do what I got to do. I'm disciplined, and the weight comes off. I mean, it sucks, but it's manageable.
Right. Well, I think that's interesting what you said about starting later, because to me it seems like if I was going to be a fighter, I would have wanted to start later just because of my mindset, right? If I would have started when I was 18, 19, I'd have been out there getting knocked the fuck around and being an idiot. I mean, I look at somebody like a Cody Garbrandt, fights like a total idiot. I mean, this guy's got skills for days, but he gets hit a couple times and he just starts, he even admits it himself. He fights like a dumbass, And I think that's part of youth, So I think that you starting older, like you said, not just the wear and tear on your body, but you're mentally sharper than you would have been if you would have started your pro career 4 years earlier,
Yeah. So,
that's really interesting. So what do you see on the horizon? I mean, what would you be your ideal scenario? Do you want to fight for a Bellator or a UFC, Rizin? What would be your dream scenario?
Honestly, my dream scenario would be Rizin, just because I've always wanted to fight in Japan.
Yeah.
And I've told Josh, like, and even like coming up, like winning all these fights, I'm like, all right, Josh, like I want to go to Japan. Take me to Japan, and it's like, I know Josh. I know he knows I'm ready now, but I know, like, even like the work, like working with Josh, he's a show me type person. Don't tell me, show me. So, the first time I approached him, I'm like watching what he's doing with Shohei Yamamoto and Victor Henry, and I'm like, hey, like I like what you do. Like you're giving your fighters stuff to work on when you're not here. Like, would you consider being my coach? And then dickhead that he is, he's like, I'll consider it and I'll get back at you. I'm talking to Victor and I'm like, yo, like, what's up with Josh? Like, I asked him and he kind of blew me off. He's like, dude, that's just Josh. He's gonna watch you now. He wants to see how dedicated you are. He's like, if you're dedicated, he's gonna do it. And sure enough, I hated missing practice, so I show up, every chance that I could. And then one day he just came up to me like, all right, this is my number. I'm going to need your email address and your schedule for the week. Your work schedule and your training schedule. Send it to me via my email.
Nice.
And then he walks away.
I bet you just having him in your corner though is a pretty big thing. I mean, I noticed with Victor, it's like, you could always hear Josh, number one, but even talking to Victor, talking to Alyssa, not only are we hearing him on TV, but they really are listening to him as well. Victor's last fight against, his fight before the other night against Yuki Montoya, he was listening to Josh. You could tell that, he was switching his stance when Josh was telling him. He was doing things that Josh was telling him. And how could you not listen to him? Now that he's signed to Bellator, hopefully you'll be going to some of these events, though, of watching him, huh?
Yeah, that's the other thing, I don't know if, him going to Bellator kind of opens the door for myself, but more so Victor, too, just because I don't know what the deal is with these organizations, but Victor should have been in the UFC a long time ago.
Long time ago.
Yeah, and I mean, every time he fights, and that's the thing about, even my wife notices, like, when we fight, like, we adapt to every situation. Like, so if you're in there with us and you don't finish the fight, we're going to adapt to what you're doing. And every fight, Victor is adapting. And I feel like he elevates really quickly. So had he been in the UFC, there's no telling how far he would be right now. He's number one in Japan, on his way to probably being number one in everywhere else. He's number one in the United States. Like,
yeah.
What to do? Like,
yeah, what more can you do? He's the deep champion. He beat.
He's not pointing guys. He has decisions, but he's finishing fights.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, no, I've long wondered, and I'm gonna have Victor on again. I speak to him quite often. What a guy he is, and that's part of the reason why I reached out to you too. It just seems like you guys got quite a tight knit team, and Josh knows talent, but also that you guys are helping each other so much. But one of the reasons I don't really want to see him in the UFC, not because I don't think that he could beat everyone, because I think he beats everyone at 35. To be honest with you, I just do. I mean, Cejudo's really tough. I think that's probably his toughest challenge, just because he's such a good wrestler. However, it's, these guys like we were talking about, Cody Garbrandt, Victor's too smart, right? But one of the reasons I don't like seeing fighters go to the UFC is, compared to a Rizin or a Bellator, is the exclusivity, right?
Yeah.
Then I'll miss him being able to defend his deep title if he wants, or go the other night to RCC. That was entertaining for a fan like me. And Rizin will let you do that stuff, right? They allow you.
Darren Caldwell, they let him go to Rizin and fight for.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Well, now Horiguchi's coming to Bellator June 14th. I just think that's what MMA needs. UFC's never going to do that again, because they learned their lesson with Chuck Liddell. When they sent him to Pride and he got fucked up by Rampage Jackson, with Dana White in the commentary booth, right?
Yeah.
So I just don't see them doing that, but I see Bellator doing this. I see KSW doing this. I see a lot of these organizations, and then Rizin is a federation to where they accept champions and contenders from other organizations. So I just hate to see him locked into exclusivity, but whatever is going to pay the best, hey, I'm supporting. But like you said, he should have been there a long time ago. And this is why I feel with your career too. I mean, you look at your last fight, anybody could get caught in an armbar, right?
Yeah,
it happens.
It was my mistake, I think, and even Josh said it, I was like in there, I wasn't, uncomfortable. That's the biggest crowd I've ever fought in front of.
Oh, wow.
It felt normal. Like, it didn't feel any different. It's just, I was trying to set stuff up too much.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, overanalyzing. I wasn't really overanalyzing him, but I was kind of letting him. I'm trying to set stuff up so much. I let him get off too much instead of working my game. And
right.
And I noticed that, and I adjusted, took him to the ground, made the adjustment, and just left my arm behind.
Yeah, well, it happens, and you know what? From watching your career unfold, I bet you ain't going to get caught in the same move again, though. This was the thing that I liked about you, is after you lost to, I think it was Nathan Stolen, somebody like that, you went on a, 9-fight win streak, something like that, I believe?
8-fight win streak.
Yeah. I mean, until this recent loss. And so it's like, to me, organizations like Rizin, like Deep, it's not as much about your record like it is in boxing, right? I mean, you look at back in the days of Pride, Minowa, man, was 8-8 at one point in Pride. Nobody gave a damn. They knew that every time he came to fight, right? But nowadays, you know, the UFC's got people trained that you got to only have 1 or 2 losses, something like that. But I think both you guys should be in major organizations. Not to say that I don't enjoy the CXFs and the RCCs, and you know, I enjoy watching these events. However, I know the pay scale is better when you get to Bellator or Rizin, something like that. Maybe you take some of the load off having to work all the time, you know.
But
And so with Josh fighting in Bellator, I feel like that should help open some more doors for you as well, you know. And whatever I could do on my end, AJ, you let me know. You know what I mean? I'm always lobbying. I'm always talking to people, and I'm always lobbying for fighters. I mean, I think Alyssa Garcia needs to have a rematch with Ayaka Hamasaki, who's the champion. You know, I mean, she beat Kana Asakura already. She needs to get her rematch with Ayaka, or at least a fight in Rizin and then the rematch, you know? And so that's kind of why I started this podcast. It's not just about Japan MMA. It's also just I support them so much because of how well they're treating these fighters, how well they're allowing you. If you say, hey, I want to go fight at RCC in 2 weeks, no problem. Then you could still fight for Rizin a month later, you know? So I really like that. But so ideally, your ideal scenario about Rizin is my ideal scenario for you too. You know what I mean? so you go get a push on that, you know. So back to the weight thing real quick though. And I won't keep you too much longer. I know you got stuff to do. I appreciate your time. You said that you were kind of heavy, 180 something like that in high school.
yeah, close to it.
And now you walk around 160, 165, so you're not cutting that bad. What changed in your body? Was it just working out more? What made you get so much thinner? Because usually as you get older, you get bigger, right?
My diet. It's not really a diet for me. It's more of a lifestyle. Like, I'm constantly like eating the right foods, the proper foods, and you know, and it's easy because all the stuff that we don't see behind the scenes. My wife, if she's not making, like, I'll make my food every so often, but she's always like in contact with me, like on my phone. Hey, I got this. Hey, how does this sound for dinner tomorrow? Hey, and it's all like made for me. So
dope.
You know,
That's dope.
she's basically my nutritionist, and she's so like health conscious. Like, she's always like looking up stuff like, oh, I heard this is good for this, and even to like down to like facial products, like,
Oh, wow.
put this on your face, oh, wash your body with this, or use this. And I'm just like, whatever you say, let me do it.
That's a true team. You got a down ass lady, man, because that's what a team is, you know. I mean, so I take it she supports everything you do. Does she go to your fights?
Yeah, she's been to every fight that she can go to. Obviously, you know, if I'm out the country, she has a job, she can't, you know, just come with me. It'd be great, but I mean, she's my #1 support system. If I didn't have her, I probably wouldn't be doing MMA, to be honest.
Well, and it's kind of funny that guy who was getting in trouble and kind of fucking off early in his life is now married to a correctional officer, right? Shit came full circle. I'm sure you ain't getting out of line with her. You know what I mean?
I gotta behave myself.
So, do you have anything on the horizon at all now? Anything that you're looking at? Any more MFPs, something like that? Do you have offers from? Anything?
That would be nice. It's probably too soon to say with MFP. I know Josh was saying that because he has a Russian agent, Alexei, to, you know, kind of handle stuff for us.
Mm-hmm.
He's putting our names into a lot of shows. And obviously, you know, LXF is looking for an opponent for me in July. I'm hoping something comes before July, just because, I mean, like you said, I fought 4 or 5 times in a year.
Couple different times, right?
Yeah, the year I broke my hand, I fought 4 times. It would have been like 5 or 6 times because Josh, I think, had fights lined up for me after, but obviously I broke my hand. I mean, I like staying busy.
Yeah.
I like you know, my last fight was in October, and I mean, I didn't like that.
Yeah, October to what? March?
October to April.
April. Yeah. Jesus.
For like 5 or 6 months, I'm like, I need a fight. Like,
I think that was the longest layoff of your pro career.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I wondered about that. What was the reason? You just weren't getting a fight offer, or? I thought for a guy on an 8-fight win streak who's a champion of an organization, it's so weird, you know. I mean, sometimes you got to just know people who know people, but thankfully you have Josh. Something's going to come up, I'm sure of it. And like I said, however I could help you, let me know. I think, you know, a Deep Impact, something like that would be cool to see you in. You know, those are really fun shows. I don't know what happened with them. I don't know if you have any insight to this, and I probably need to ask Victor or somebody. What happened that their production value is not really much compared to Deep Jules? Do you know?
I don't know.
Because you watched Victor fight on his last one, 88. Well, the Deep Jules card was before Deep Impact, and they had camera angles from every angle, commentary, and then in the same venue was Deep Impact, but they only had that one camera on a tripod that would look at the big screen sometimes, and no commentary, right? Free on YouTube. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate it, but something happened because about 2 years ago, I used to be subscribed to their Ustream pay-per-view. You'd pay so much a month or whatever it was for their Ustream. So I just wondered if you knew of anything that happened with them.
I don't know. I had no idea actually, and to be honest, I thought somebody was filming it.
No, that was the official Deep stream, and it's been like that a couple times. Just the tripod on you know, up high somewhere, and then they'll look at the big screen every once in a while, and they'll zoom into the eye. I mean, and if you watch the Deep Jules 23 card, it was excellent presentation. It had Sugiyama as the commentator. She did really good. I mean, it was in Japanese, but the production value was excellent. And I know it's the same owner, it's the same everything. So I just don't know if they got in trouble for something. Something happened, you know. But either way, regardless of the tripod or not, a lot of people are fans of Deep Impact, you know. So that would be another organization that looks good. What about Pancrase? Have you looked at anything there?
I haven't. That would be nice. I know Josh has like a handful of people that he just, you know, kind of shops us out to. It's just a matter if they get back. You know, I like that he keeps the information kind of on a need to know. He's not gonna get me hard with information like, oh,
right.
Like, all right, like it's like, hey, like
right.
When he calls my phone, I know the answer. Like I'm at work and it's like, and I have his name is saved in my phone as Joshua Bennett. But I see that and I'm like, oh, I gotta answer this.
Well, why Joshua Bennett?
Joshua with the Y.
Well, see, and I'm confident that he'll get you something, man. And you know, we can't wait to see you back in action. You know, I got one more fan question and a couple more questions for you of my own, and then I'm gonna let you go. So you decide your best weight's going to be 145. You have no ambition to go on to 55. You don't think?
I mean, if it's like I wanted to go. So when I won the CXF belt and I defended it, and there were talks like commentators and people were saying like even the promoters were like, yo, like I would love to have AJ back, but honestly, I think this is going to be his last fight. Like he's probably going to get the call. Yada yada yada, but you know, for me, I'm like, well, I mean that sounds nice, but unless you're signing me to the UFC yourself, I can't really, you know. So I had said it like, and my wife hated me for it, you know, just because the guys are so much bigger. But I'm like, yo, like, let me fight for the 55 title then. If that's not enough, you know, what I've done is not enough at 45. Let me go up and fight the guy at 55, and I'll take the belt because nobody. Now, you know, one of my teammates at CMMA holds it, Dominic Clark, he holds the belt at 55. He'll be defending it next Saturday, but at the time, nobody was holding the belt. Guys were missing weight. Like you get an opportunity to fight for the belt, you're missing weight. Like pulling out a fight, like, all right, I'll go up and fight the guy at 55. But if it's the right fight for me, I mean.
Yeah, something like that is really interesting, like you mentioned. But I just feel like your resume, you know, already speaks for itself. The fact that you went on such a long win streak. Every time you lose, you go on a win streak. I don't think you've ever had back-to-back losses in your pro career, right?
No.
Yeah. See, I think things like this are what promoters, at least if I was a promoter, that's what I'm looking at first, right? And I mean, there's guys that don't have the resume you have, and people get chances. You know how it is. It's kind of the luck of a draw thing. But with Josh on your corner, I'm sure that we'll get you something. You know, he's the man, as you know. And so you make sure to let us know, and we'll do another little short segment, 10 minutes or something, to promote that fight. You know what I mean? Something else whenever you know your opponent, or date, everything like that. All right. Another fan wanted to know. Let me see. I lost that one. What would you do if you weren't doing MMA?
Probably make music. I used to make music. That was like my thing. Like I have a recording studio, all the equipment. I mean, I put it away just because I don't really have time for it right now,
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I have, so even if I wasn't doing it to like make money, I just love making music. Like I play multiple instruments. I love making beats. Me and my friends, like they're always like, anytime I get together with my friends, like if you're with us, you're going to freestyle rap. I don't care if you
That's
suck.
dope. That's dope. Hell yeah.
They will make you freestyle rap. So we're always like, it's just, always good vibes, good times. And I mean, I genuinely like love music.
Yeah, like you said, it's just time taking. I was a DJ myself for a long time, and I kind of have to choose: am I going to do that, or am I going to do this? I don't really have time to do both. Like you said, producing beats alone is a damn job, right? And it was just, I was getting too heavy into that and loving it so much that then it was like, oh shit, I ain't got no time to do nothing else, Well, all right, we're going to end with this one. Like I said, next time you fight, let us know everything. But you talked about your ideal scenario. Hopefully we will see you in Rizin. I'm confident we are going to see you somewhere major. How long do you plan on fighting, AJ? I mean, if in a perfect world.
I mean, as long as my body lets me,
I mean, other than the hand, have you had any major injuries?
No, that's the funny thing. Like I've never broken any bones or anything like that. Never torn any ligaments.
Wow.
So for me, it's just as long as my body. But I don't want it to be like, oh, I'm 40 years old and I'm fighting like Anderson Silva. Like, no, I want to compete. Like Kobe Bryant said, I don't want to be the guy coming off the bench. Like as long as I'm able to compete at top competition and be a competitor, then
Mm-hmm.
that's it. If I'm like, I don't want to fight for a paycheck. I'm not trying to be the guy that they're like, oh well, let's throw him in with some youngster and see if he can play spoiler. Like, no, I want to move up. I want to be a guy that's top 5 material, a guy that is fighting the best competition. Otherwise, I'm just putting myself on the line. And for what? If I'm not, I want to be in a lose maybe situation.
Well, and I ask you this question, even though I believe, from watching you and watching your progression, that you're just entering your prime. And if you feel like that also mentally and physically, no major injuries, that's a good sign, I mean, and that division's wide open in a lot of different, I mean, even in Bellator, you look at, the 45 division is wide open. There's some good fighters out there, don't get me wrong, but there's some openings there, and I think that you could slide right into one of them. You know what I mean?
Fight every single one of
them. My man.
Of them.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much, AJ. Let's link again after you get a fight, or at least let me know so I could promote it properly. And we could either do another one after you fight, whatever it takes. I'm going to be pushing this real hard. I'm going to be making some clips, some different things. You'll be in contact with me, man.
Cool. I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you, AJ. I'm humbled and thankful for this experience, and all the best to you and your family. And if you need anything at all, bro, feel free to hit me up, all right?
Thanks, bud.
Appreciate your time, brother.
Too.